Hi everyone, I'm Nathan. And that's okay, but what I was expecting was something a little bit more like, hi Nathan, I'm audience. Good to meet you. Say, that's a pretty funny accent. Where are you from? And then I would say, I'm from West Virginia in the United States. And then you'd say, audience, you'd say, oh wow.
Would you like to travel?
Yeah. But you'd say, after that, you'd say, why would you come here? And to be honest with you, audience, Bright Club Manchester, I sort of stumbled through this answer. I kind of start out, well, you know, I was looking to get a master's degree in the history of science, technology, and medicine, and I only spoke and speak one language, and I don't want to go to Australia. And at that point, I would be sort of answering, but I don't think I would be telling the truth. And do you want to know the truth?
Yes.
Do you really want to know the truth? Do you really think you can handle the truth? Yeah? Well, I'll tell you the truth, because it's pretty simple. See, the truth is Weetabix. Weetabix? See, I like Weetabix because I feel like I'm helping the environment when I eat Weetabix, because I'm consuming recycled cardboard. But the real reason I like Weetabix is because, well, I discovered Weetabix when I was 13 on the internet. And when I say discovered, I mean discovered in the same sense that Christopher Columbus discovered the Americas, in that maybe some other people knew about it, but those people don't matter. In this case, that means you. And in our conversation right now, where you go is, okay, that's kind of a weird answer, but let's shift the subject. Nathan, where do you live in Manchester? I live in Rusholme. Yeah, Rusholme. And I live in Rusholme, wait for it, I live in Rusholme with 2 Romanians. And I'll tell you what, I was expecting that, because Romanians get a bad rap in this country. Did you know that? Did you know that, Bright Club Manchester? Did you know that, England? See, I watched this on TV a while back. I watched it on TV, and I'll have you know I don't pay a TV license. I don't own a TV. Ooh, yeah, Americans don't do that. So, I was watching on TV, and here's what I heard on TV. It was an interview with a very angry white British person, and they said, these Romanians, they come into our neighborhood, and they make all this noise, and they use all of our services, and they eat our pets. And let me tell you what, Bright Club Manchester, let me tell you what. Dorian and Yulia have not once made all that much noise. They have never used all of my services, and they only ate one of my pets. And it was one I didn't like that much anyways. And I was going to tell you this really long and elaborate story about potentially illegal industrial scale honey production going on in or around my house. But suffice it to say that Dorian and Yulia are now back in Romania. And listen closely, okay? Okay? Yeah. Depending on how you vote on June 23rd, they might not be allowed back. So Bright Club Manchester, I issue you an ultimatum. Yeah? Yeah? You vote to remain, or I'll vote for Donald Trump. And that's where the conversation would go as well, because the next question is always, so what do you think of Donald Trump? Yeah, in exactly that accent too. I know how you sound. And I'll tell you what, I think Donald Trump is really interesting. Does anyone know why Donald Trump is trustworthy? No.
Why is he trustworthy?
Donald Trump is trustworthy because he self-funds his own campaign, because he has enough money that he is not beholden to outside interests, to outside influence. And you see, Bright Club Manchester, like most Donald Trump supporters, I'm a bit familiar with some of the secondary literature on the origins of the Royal Society and 18th and 17th century natural philosophy. And I'll tell you what, so natural philosophy, right? Natural philosophy is a little bit like this thing we call science. And there's a link between the two. One sort of happened before the other, but one of the links, sort of continuities, is this idea of reliable witness. And the idea of reliable witness is that when some observation about nature is seen by folks who have credibility, the credibility of that claim increases. So when you think about something like an experiment or dissecting a lady, that involves reliable witnessing. And nowadays, reliable witness takes place by colleagues or peers in your field. But back in the day, back in like the 18th century and the 17th century, only a couple of people could be reliable witnesses. And those people were landed gentlemen. And what's the deal with landed gentlemen? Why were they reliable? Does anyone know?
They have money.
That's right, because they were really fucking rich! And they were not beholden to outside influences. So what I'm trying to say here, or what I'm not trying to say here, is that Donald Trump is a 17th century natural philosopher. Because if you think about it, you've got people like Robert Hooke, the guy with the microscopes who made all the machines. He was kind of poor, and Donald Trump is not kind of poor. But what I want to get across here is that I guess that I'm grateful for people like Robert Boyle, who was pretty wealthy and started this whole thing a little bit, was involved with it, and Donald Trump, because of their generosity to share their purity of vision with the rest of the world, even if they don't share their wealth, which is, I think, a noble thing. So that's what I'm into, guys. They want me to explain what I'm interested in research-wise, and that's reaching into the past to find solutions to today's pressing questions like, is Donald Trump a 17th century natural philosopher? And what I specifically look at a little bit more, well, one of the things I look at a little bit more is pregnancy. So I thought I could maybe share something, a solution from the past to some questions we have today. And as you can see here, yeah, let's see, it sounds old. This is a piece of printer paper that I've dipped in tea to make it look like it's weathered quite a bit. Master's degree. So this is from an article in the New York Times, 1921, quoting Archbishop Patrick Hayes, and it's about the moral and state issues with birth control, most evil of things. Benjamin Franklin was the 15th child, John Wesley the 18th, Ignatius Loyola the 8th, Catherine of Siena, one of the greatest intellectual women that ever lived, was the 24th. It has been suggested that one of the reasons for the lack of genius in our day is that we are not getting the ends of families. And so, Bright Club Manchester, I want you to take that with you. I want you to think about how much better this act would have been if I were 14th born. Thank you.